Invictus, my kings, and welcome back to another part of the DarthMod Empire Total War USA playthrough. And today we find ourselves attacked by the French. Yes, they have sallied out and they challenge us to a battle, and it's not gonna be an easy one, so let's get to it. Okay, so here we are on the battlefield. There's a nice flat bit of ground here, so let's set up rationally on the flat ground without the cavalry, of course, and let's defend our position from the dastardly French. Let's use our light infantry on the flanks. Let's just use it sparing. Do we put them in front? No, because we can't actually use we can't put them into skirmisher stance just yet. We'll use them as a flanking force, and we'll put our cavalry as a support right behind them. There we go, and the general can be over here, and we'll shuffle the troops around a little bit like so. Oh, you can see the enemy is actually coming from behind us. That's very neat. So let's turn around. Let's turn around immediately and let's crush them. That should do the trick. That should definitely do the trick. Let's first and foremost focus on what's behind us and closest to us. The enemy that's way over here doesn't matter, but what we are really concerned about is the enemy that's right behind us, and we should focus on those people for the time being. Form square here, get a hell out of dodge there. And let's march like so. Doesn't need to be all brilliant and beautiful. All that matters is that we win. And we can surround the enemy very nicely over here on this flank. These are colonial light cavalry, and they're putting up quite the fight though. Quite the fight. Looks like this is gonna be a bit of a mosh pit over here. Let's actually switch over here. Let's see, these guys still not really active, still not doing all that much. The light infantry can actually come over here. Looks like they decided to attack these two square formations with actually only one square formation. It looks like they actually managed to break the square formation of my units. They're not very good, but yeah, let's form up and let's go. Let's give them some trouble. And that colonial light cavalry has been sent routing. Looks like this is going to be quite a bit of trouble over here. What's this? This is artillery. Colonial light infantry, bowman auxiliary. Yeah, we'll win. We'll definitely win this one. It'll take a bit of time, but we'll win. And speed things up just so we win a little bit faster. Let's actually check out these long riflemen. Haven't seen these guys in forever, since the multiplayer days. Very nice, doing some terrible damage. These are Pennsylvania rifles. They look a little bit different, but it's basically the same idea. Maybe you can only recruit them in Pennsylvania, I don't know. Let's shift gears with our... We're getting hammered by artillery over here. That's not very good, but it is what it is. Let's actually shift like so. These guys should be routing. These fellas can now move out of square formation and set up to finalize the encirclement. And I think we've essentially completely won this battle. Half the enemy army has been destroyed. Or well, not quite half, but we are almost there. Since it's so close to the edge of the battlefield, them routing means that they immediately lose. But the other half of the enemy force is up here right now, so we should move back move back and move forward because the second part of the battle has just begun. And these guys have taken a beating, so let's... actually, they still have some units over here, Native Bowman Auxiliary. Let's use these troops as... to go on a bit of a hunt. Anyone coming from that direction? No, they decided to move all of their units over here. Light cavalry. Looks like they're going in for a charge, although I'm not entirely sure. They sort of went for a half charge. I guess they missed me. They missed our units, but they definitely went in for a charge over here. So let's form squares and let's send out our cavalry to deal with whatever's left of them. Let's also send up the light. Send out the light infantry. The AI likes to just randomly form square. Like, what is this? What good is this gonna do? Really not entirely sure what they were thinking with that one. But yeah, we've almost won this side of the battlefield. All that's left is to make. Okay, all that's left is to mop up and deal the final blow. I should actually send my cavalry to deal with their enemy general killed. Very nice, but I should send my cavalry to deal with their artillery actually, because it's doing some terrible damage to us, and we only want terrible damage done to the enemy, don't we, kings? Yes, we do. So, okay, their entire force is routing except for the Charter du Bois, Courier du Bois, not Charter, Courier du Bois, which is basically, they are basically like rangers or a version of light infantry, I believe. And so, still, they route, then they come back from routing, then they route again. Very strange. But let's send our troops on to a big old charge against their cavalry, against their artillery, more rather. And let's speed things up and let's get this over with, because it's a victory. It's just not. It just hasn't been declared yet. The battle is definitely going in our favor. And there we go. That should be that. That should be it. It's a victory. Okay, so we lost 4,000. Oh, 466, and we killed 1,808. So quite a successful battle over there. Although the remnants, and there's another French army lurking in the distance, so we'll have to be very careful when dealing with them. And here we go, another massive battle, this time against the... I think this is the Plain Nation. So yeah, another massive battle, the Plains Force, which is a funny name, but this time it's just pure infantry that we have going on here against their melee infantry and some artillery and a lot of general bodyguards for some reason. Lots of generals in this army. So we'll see how things go. Alright, here we are on the battlefield. All we have is infantry and the general's bodyguard, so let's set up in a bigger line. The line of lines. Very nice. Let's put the general's bodyguard over here. And let's see. Okay, so this should be a straight up just a march forward and kill everything in our path. Nothing too complicated, nothing too strange. Let's just get going. They have some tribal gunners, very interesting, but we should be able to take care of them. They have taken a bit of our units have taken a bit of a hit from that. Let's see if they continue skirmishing. We should actually probably wait for the enemy now that I'm thinking about it, for obvious reasons, but let's get on to a bit of high ground as well, so we're not fighting a downhill battle. Here we go. The enemy cavalry has decided to show, okay, mountain tribal gunners, chief's bodyguard, chief's bodyguard, chief's bodyguard. So they're going in for a massive charge over here. At least I think they're going for a massive charge. That's what it looks like. So one general bodyguard off. Let's go for squares. Just to be sure. One more volley and then we form a square. And these guys, these chief's bodyguard keep flailing around, but the enemy definitely is going for it. This mounted tribal gunner is definitely an annoyance we'll have to deal with eventually. But who are they charging at? Not entirely sure. Enemy general killed, very easy. Just like that. Let's move up with our units. Another enemy general killed. Okay, so we're dealing some massive blows over here. Oh no. Oh no, here we go. A melee unit, warrior society. Enemy general killed. Another one. Another one. Okay, so this big old cavalry attack, a bit of a distraction because now here come their melee units, and these guys are gonna do some serious damage to us. I can already feel it. Oh no, here we go. There we go. Let's shove in these guys into the melee. These fellas can stop being in a square formation and get ready to meet head on infantry charge. This is the second wave. Waves of attack coming against us. Over here on this flank, nothing much going on. It's all of the actions concentrated over here. So let's get stuck in with our bayonets, and hopefully we'll be able to win. Let's move up, move forward with all of our units. These guys can go like so. We're actually managing to hold our own, but that's mostly thanks. Oh no, never mind with their routing. Let's pull them out. We don't want a full unit destroyed just because I'm careless. Just because the enemy has such an advantage when it comes to melee. We are doing some damage, and now these guys are routing as well. Never mind, they routed broken, but our guys are routing as well. Even though there's still 150 of them left, so they didn't lose a majority of their units, but they still, they're still broken. Let's use General's Bodyguard for that. Here we go, another charge. No, these are bowmen, never mind. And the enemy force is streaming in, coming in waves against us. Coming in waves. Let's actually march the entire flank like so. Rather, the entire flank like so. And these fellas can then do this. Native American, but they're tired. See, they're running all the way from here, so they'll become tired by the time they reach us. These guys can move up like that. These people are already in the thick of it. Yep, this is gonna be a nasty battle. It's gonna be a nasty one. They're bowmen. I'm managing to route their ranged units quite easily. It's just their melee units that are a bother. So these guys take an the units take an absolute beating when they go up against melee units, which is the big strength of the natives, obviously, that they have melee units. Alright, the general has done enough scuffing around. So the majority of the enemy forces should be somewhere over here, I believe. So this flank, this relatively fresh flank, which hasn't seen much action at all, should just move up, move forward, and we'll take care from there. We'll take care of it from there. This is native artillery. Native artillery. Let's see if they actually try and set up. Because that's a bit of an annoyance. I'm not entirely sure if natives have actually access to stuff like mortars, but I don't really think so. All they have is that native artillery. Oh, here we are. Here's the enemy army. Let's see. Warrior Society, Warrior Society, Warrior Society. Lots of melee units, basically. Native American warriors. So they... Oh, here we are. Here are some musketmen. But the musketmen have been routed. Okay, so the enemy is going for a bit of a weird half. They're going in, but then they break off because they get shattered. See, and then they come back from routing. Of course, they come back from routing. They always do. It's Empire Total War. Okay, swarming like locusts over here. Let's activate this flank. Let's come in like so. Yeah, these guys should stay put. So these guys march forward. In later games like Napoleon and Attila, not Napoleon and Attila, Rome 2 and Attila, routing is much more permanent. Once the enemy starts routing, they usually route for good, and it takes. See, here in Empire, they come back from routing constantly, the enemy does. And it's a little bit strange. Maybe this is just a quirk of the natives, but another victory, eh? Okay, this one was much more bloody. We lost 994, we killed almost 3,000, but yeah, that was a bloody one. Okay. Let's go. Oh, let's auto-resolve this one. And there we go. Wiped out the last of the natives. All of them have been destroyed. Now we should go for New Orleans. With surrender accepted. There we go. Can replenish our troops. Let's also replenish these guys. We probably don't need to replenish those armies just yet. I feel this is gonna be a bit annoying. We have to deal with this little strand of units that has been left behind. So let's send some reinforcements down. And what about French Guyana? Let's see. Oh, another massive battle. Let's go. Alright, here we are once more on the battlefield. And I think the enemy... Let's see, this was their perspective. So the enemy should come as reinforcements from over here, if I remember correctly. The perspective that was on display. So let's see, let's set up over here. If I'm mistaken, then I'm mistaken, doesn't matter. We can always just set up in a different way, but I think they should be coming from over here. Oh, they're actually coming from behind us. Very wonderful. Once more, turn around. The entire army has to turn around. And they're coming in at a bit of a weird angle. but this should do the trick. And let's set up our cavalry on the. Oh, I set them up wrong. Okay, the enemy has mortars. Very great. Where are the enemy mortars? They're way over here, and that's just garrison militia. So let's use our cavalry to go for them. And these are mounted tribal auxiliary. Let's just move forward. The enemy got stuck. Very interesting. Well, if the enemy got stuck, then the enemy got stuck. Well, what can you do? What can you do? Maybe they won't come in like this. I don't know. Did the game bug out? Possibly. We'll see. Well, looks like the game bugged out, so time for a rerun. You know what? Let's actually try to make them. Let's demand surrender, and they conceded. Very nice. That's what we want to see. No need for fighting. Now we hold French Guyana, and we can actually straight away go for this army. And let's try and take them on for fair this time. Okay, again, back on the battlefield. Let's move up like so. Cavalry on one flank, cavalry on the other flank, general in the middle. Let's go. Oh, the enemy is scattered all over the place. Very interesting formation that they have set up. They do actually have some artillery, so we should march forward. But they are... Again, with these cavalry charges, I'm not entirely sure what the enemy is thinking. They're definitely going for a charge because of the animations. But they are... Let's see, which unit are they attacking? This one. Let's form squares and let's move up with the rest of them. Okay, bit of a buggy mess this game is, but we still love it, eh? They just casually passed through my score like it was nothing. That's something that just in Napoleon Total War won't happen, or in Shogun 2 Fall of the Samurai. That sort of stuff just doesn't happen. But yeah, let's move forward. Since we're the ones pressing the attack, let's move forward. These colonial light cavalry should get trounced, hopefully. Hopefully they'll get trounced. And here we have some mounted tribal auxiliary. I think the enemy has a lot of bowmen actually. They have bowmen and line infantry, which is an interesting combination. Let's see if it works in their favor. Maybe it does, I don't know. Maybe we'll see something amazing today. Combined arms. Enemy general killed, very nice. Let's see, this flank can move up like so. Come on, move up like so. And these units can march forward. And we'll see how things go from here. Again, Mountain Tribal Auxiliary. The AI likes to... Oh, shoot! It looks like I found the bowman. And the Musket Auxiliary. Looks like we found them. Hiding in the forests. Interesting. No, they don't have bayonets. Okay, so they're basically just like the muskets of the native tribes, except they can be recruited by the Europeans or by the colonial powers. I don't think the United States actually has access to those units. which is maybe a little bit of a shame. Would have brought some variety to the army for sure, for sure. But as the United States here, much more of a European army you wield, which maybe is historically accurate. I don't know how willing the natives were when it came to cooperating with the United States. It's not something I'm very well versed in as far as history goes. Who are these? These are native bowmen auxiliary. So let's bring up our cavalry. And the enemy is faffing around once more. Can't help themselves. Let's see, who are they charging now? Oh, they just they went for the charge, but then they decided it was a bad idea. Very cool, very nice, very demure. There we go, the cavalry can take care of them. The artillery has been, the enemy artillery has been destroyed. Looks like the French really, looks like this might be Napoleon's time as far as history and dates go, but this really isn't Napoleon's time as far as tactics go. But the French flag is very difficult to see whether they're retreating or not, because their flag is white, so it looks like they're always retreating. Haha, that's some sort of a French joke in there. There's a French surrender joke in there, all right. And they decided to form square in the middle of the battlefield. I suppose you can shoot at all sides by forming a square. Yep, definitely. That's definitely gonna work. It's definitely gonna work. Just try it a few times against me, and maybe one of these days it'll result in a victory. Just keep trying it, for sure, for sure. And on this flank, yep, it's a victory, easy. There we go, lost 218, did 2,000 damage, 2,000 casualties. Very nice, very nice. All that's left when it comes to the French holdings is Dutch Guyana and the Windward Islands, and we will have kicked out the French completely, basically, which is music to my ears. Well, anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.